Alrighty, everybody. It is currently Saturday, August 16th, 2025, and I'm coming at you live from the great country of South Africa, where if Dricus du Plessis beats Hamzat Chimaev tonight, another 10 years of apartheid will be enforced. Once again, a tough one to get out. With the prepared statements like that, it's tough to get out. What I was saying basically in that introduction is if Dricus du Plessis wins tonight, 10 years of apartheid. Just 10 years, nothing, not a lifetime, nothing like that. Just a little bit. Just a little bit of good old-fashioned apartheid, dude. That's the thing about, apartheid and slavery and, all that shit, all like the suppression of human rights that people forget is that it was fun for some people, right? Like slavery, yeah, it wasn't fun for a lot of people. Really, for most of the people involved in it, even like the other white people, they were living pretty shitty lives. Not as shitty as the slaves. They lived notoriously shitty lives because they were slaves, but they didn't live great lives. Like all the teeth were rotting out of their heads and stuff like that. But for the dudes, for the ones who owned the white people and the slaves, those guys had a pretty good life. Those guys were having fun, chilling out, you know what I mean? Beating people. It's got to be fun every now and then. Just getting in an argument with your wife, going out and cracking the whip. God, that sounds like a great time, doesn't it? Doesn't that? Just your wife is like yelling at you for some shit, you know what I mean? Getting in your face. And this is like the 1800s. I'm talking about the antebellum South here. Even in the modern day Southern United States, you can still beat the shit out of your wife. So I imagine back then you could really lay it down on her. I mean, full on, hey, like Dricus du Plessis, drop an anvil on her head. Something like that. Hit her in the fucking skull with a giant wooden mallet and then a bump comes out of her head. You could do that back then. And you can really do it now in the South. You know what I mean? Yeah, the South doesn't have any, politicians or police forces like trying to end domestic violence. They understand the utility of it, right? I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but it's like it has a utility, it has a purpose. The biscuits and gravy will come quicker, if we put belt to ass a little bit every now and then, not all the time, just every now and then. If we put belt to ass, the biscuits and gravy are going to be pumping out a little bit quicker. And the people in the South, they know that. And I think it's due to like their history of slavery. I think the history of slavery in the South greatly influences the modern day tradition of beating the shit out of your wife in the South. I think those two play on each other, you know what I mean? Because they have like that ancestral blood memory of even if they weren't the slave owners, they were just around it. You know what I mean? Like the entire economy of the South was predicated on slavery, and people will argue against that. These Confederate apologists will argue against the fact that the economy of the South back then was predicated on slavery, but it's just like, look at the South now, right? It's poor as shit. And the reason for that is because they still don't know how to make money if they don't have slaves. Really, nobody knows how to make money if they don't have slaves, right? Like Apple. Apple wouldn't have $1 trillion if it wasn't for slaves. Their slaves are just in like China and shit like that, or Indonesia or whatever the fuck. Same with Tesla. The only reason Tesla has the amount of money that they do is because of slaves. Their slaves are in the Congo, mining cobalt and like lithium ion and stuff like that. So even now, most of the economy is predicated on slavery, right? Like even agriculture. A lot of agriculture is predicated on basically enslavement of illegal immigrants. So nobody really knows how to do it without slaves, but the South especially, right? If they don't actively have slaves in the South, right? If the slaves aren't like with them, then they don't know how to make money at all, right? You know what I mean? They can't like outsource their slavery like these companies like Apple and Tesla can. They have to have the slaves right there. But yeah, those dudes in the South, they put the paws on them. You know what I mean? They really get active in there. So, and hey, that's why Southern food is so good. I've shit on it before, when people are like, Southern food is so good, you don't know how we make it in the South. And it's like, yeah, it's because you put butter on everything and deep fry everything. Like everyone knows that tastes good, right? Everyone knows that deep fried shit tastes delicious. But we don't do it for everything because we know it's going to give us a heart attack. But I think, outside of that, the other reason why food in the South is so good is because, those boys have a history. Those boys, those boys have a history. They've had this bred into them, you know what I mean? They're like pit bulls, but for beating people. They're like pit bulls, but instead of physically attacking toddlers, they punch their wives in the face when the gumbo isn't made quick enough or whatever. And those Cajun boys are definitely doing it. You know what I mean? You're out in the swamp. The police couldn't get you if they wanted to. You know what I mean? The National Guard couldn't get you out in the swamps of Louisiana. Your wife's not running away. What's she gonna do? Swim and just like trudge through mud and bayou, alligator infested waters and shit like that, and the bacteria in there too, dude. She's not running away either. She's gonna get eaten alive by crawfish while you sit on the porch and go, "Ah, that's what you get, woman." You know? So she's not escaping. So those Cajun boys are probably getting in there, dude. Those Cajun boys, they're probably sparring every night before they go to bed, dude. They just got their boy with the hitting pads on, just doing like Floyd Mayweather drills, giving like Mike Tyson speeches. I know the art of fighting. I know the art of war. Just because they're putting paws on the ladies. And look, I'm not endorsing that, and I'm not endorsing slavery either. All I'm saying is it's fun for some people. Slavery was fun for some people, dude. You know, you're a slave owner. You live in a big, nice house. You're surrounded by just the poorest, sweatiest people on earth, dude. Back then, no AC. Everyone must have been sweating all the time, dude, especially in the South. Just the hot, muggy air. It just must have felt like a blanket. A blanket was on top of you. Like that's what it feels like when it's really humid outside. So they must have been sweating. Everybody was sweating all the time, but not you, dude. Not you, because you had slaves. You could have a dude with like a big giant fan just keeping you nice and cool, keeping the sweat off of you. That's what I would have been doing, dude. And I don't think like American slave owners really took full advantage of having slaves, right? Like the Greek dudes and like the Egyptians and stuff like that. They were posted up on like a couch, getting fed grapes and having like palm leaves cool them and stuff like that. But they didn't really do that, in the South. They could have been doing that. And they did take some advantage, you know what I mean, of having slaves. But if I had slaves, I'd just be doing more fun shit. You know what I mean? I'd be like, hey guys, no cotton today. No cotton today. We're just gonna see how high we can make a pile of dirt, dude. I've been trying to make a tall building now and for a while now, and I have slaves, and I don't really value you guys' lives. I don't even consider you guys, to be honest. I don't even consider you humans. So I'm gonna see how tall you can build a building today. That's what I'd be doing. I wouldn't be having them picking cotton or sugar cane or whatever. I'd be having them do crazy shit. I'd be like, how many of you guys can we stack on top of each other? Maybe that's what I would do. I wouldn't I wouldn't be having to make a mountain by hand. That would be fun. I might have done that, but I would have just been like, how many? How many can we fit on top of each other, dude? If you guys get 60 feet, if we can get 60 feet in the air, everybody's got the day off work, dude. Everyone, everyone's got the next week off if you guys can get to 60 feet. If you can get taller than the house. See that house over there that I live in that you've never been in before? If you can get taller than that thing, no work for a week. That's what I would be doing if I had slaves. You know what I mean? Or just I'd just be building fun shit, you know what I mean? I'd have like my own Carnival cruise line. I'd have like the 1800s version of a Carnival cruise line if I had slaves. Just like picking cotton. Yeah, I'm sure you make a whole lot of money, but that's just I don't know. It's not the most fun use of slavery. I've never heard of like, and this is maybe because slavery is like an awful thing, but I've never heard of like a fun use of of it before. I've never heard of anyone like having their slaves do like a paintball war or whatever. Like that would be fun. That would be fun. Having your slaves do like a paintball war against each other, that would be a good old time. I get it, they didn't have paintballs back then, but you could figure something out. Just give them like those big like foam swords and just have them go out there and fight each other. That's what I would be doing. I'd be like, all right, enough of the cotton. Today we're having a little bit of a war, and I'd just be chilling on top of my house. I'd have one of my slaves fanning me. I'd have the other one with like a glass of lemonade with a straw in it, and I would make the slave put the straw in my mouth. And I'd just be sipping on lemonade, on top of my roof. And I'd be doing this with any type of slave, dude. Any type of slave, I'd be having a grand old time, just having them have like a paintball war against each other. And an all-out one too. Winning team, or last man standing or whatever it is gets the day off work. That's what I'd be doing. I'd be having pride. I would just be Mr. Beast. If I had slaves, dude, if I was a slave owner at any point in history, I would just be Mr. Beast. I'd be having him competing like challenges and stuff, dude. Oh, God, what was the latest Mr. Beast video? I saw it on my YouTube recommended, and yes, I do watch Mr. Beast videos. I know some people are like very against that. Yeah, survive 100 days in prison, win $500,000. Dude, and Mr. Beast's thumbnails are insane. Just if you haven't seen one in a while, go look at a Mr. Beast thumbnail. It's either him torturing someone or someone torturing him, dude. This guy's into BDSM. It's Mr. BDSM, dude. That's his nickname. Is Mr. BDSM because this dude is a freak. He loves torturing people. But the thumbnail for it is he has like there's a cop. It's a black cop too, by the way, and I'm sure he was like very careful about this. I'm sure Mr. Beast, he was very careful when he was like making the thumbnail for this, but it's like a black cop, right? And he has Mr. Beast's head up against the wall, and Mr. Beast has like a black eye and scars on his face, and he's like gritting his teeth. And this black cop is like pressing Mr. Beast's head into the wall, and he has a taser like right next to him. And what this implies, the implication of this is that Mr. Beast did this to like a contestant in one of his videos. Like that's that's the implication of this thumbnail is Mr. Beast just had he opened up his big rig. Sorry, I don't know if you guys heard that. It was just Mr. Beast screaming, and it was playing in my headphones for a second there. But yeah, his thumbnails have been pretty insane. They're like it's just him torturing people or him getting tortured, which once again, yeah, would you risk drowning for $500,000? And then the thumbnail is a dude with like an iron chain around his neck that and the chain is connected to a rock at the bottom of the ocean. That's sorry. His thumbnails are just insane, dude. And I'm sure he wishes he had them. I'm sure Mr. Beast wishes he didn't have to like, make these people sign contracts and NDAs and give them like money and stuff. I'm sure Mr. Beast wishes he had slaves. Because if Mr. Beast had slaves, the challenges would be even more insane. He would like actually be doing the things he does in his thumbnail. He'd be actually like he would be a Bond villain. He would just post like James Bond like torture things, like holding someone over a vat of acid with like sharks in it. And he would just record that and post it to YouTube if he had slaves, dude. So, I'm not trying to make a case for slavery here, but you know, it would just there would be something fun about it. There were if I could do it, right? If I could do it, the guys would just be having fun. We'd just be having a blast. Yeah, a few of them might die every now and then, but it just is what it is. That's what I would be doing if I could have slaves. But I can't, dude. Can't be having slaves. It's no good. No good at all. Um, yeah, but today's episode is ranking body parts. I ran out of things to talk about there. We got the Mr. BDSM and how fun slavery is, but past that, past that, we're done. I did take a nap today. That's the other thing I have to talk about. I took in some copper to the scrapyard to sell it. Got a decent chunk of change off that, but and it's been the hottest day of the year, dude, and my truck does not have AC. Luckily, luckily for me, I didn't we didn't take it up to the scrapyard in my truck because if we did, I probably would have lost 8 pounds, at least 8 pounds. I would be 160 pounds. I'm not gonna reveal my current weight. It's around 200 pounds, but if I had to drive my truck all the way up to Kansas City, Missouri, I would have lost I would have lost 40 pounds, dude. I would be able to compete as a lightweight in the UFC if I had to drive my truck all the way up there. No AC, dude. And I took a nap after I got back from doing that, dude. And it was one of those naps where I woke up and I woke up like 30 minutes ago and I'm still thirsty. I've chugged like 2 glasses of water and I'm still thirsty. And it's just is my body's weird like that, dude. My body is like it's very slow to like update me about what's happening. You know what I mean? Like my body, it doesn't tell me I'm hungry until I'm like starving, and it doesn't tell me I'm thirsty until I'm on like the precipice of dying of dehydration. Like that's what my body does. My body's weird like that. Except for sickness, dude. If I get sick, I immediately know. I can immediately tell, and I'm like, my entire life is ruined if I get like a sniffle or a sore throat or something like that. But for like hunger, dehydration, just general pain, itchiness, it tells me immediately if I have an itch. And I hate itching, dude. Itching is the worst sensation on earth. It's worse than pain. It's worse than anything else, and it's not pain. It's its own separate thing because at least pain, it just hurts, right? Like when you break your arm or whatever, if you get a bruise, whatever your injury is, you tear your ACL, it just like it hurts. And there's nothing you can do about it being hurt, I guess, except take a ton of Oxycontin. I've been told that helps to distract from the pain. But like other than that, it just hurts. But when you itch, it like your body tells you if you scratch it, it's gonna make you feel better. When it doesn't, dude. It doesn't at all. And I don't understand like the evolutionary purpose of that. I don't understand the evolutionary purpose of itching. I do get it a little bit because it's like sometimes when you itch, right, like a chigger. I did an episode about chiggers, and in that episode, I found out that chigger bites, quote unquote, they're not actually bites. It's like the larva is in your skin. So makes it even fucking weirder and creepier and just more generally off-putting. But the larva is like actually in your skin. So I understand itching for that. But like when a mosquito bites you, there's nothing you can do about that, dude. There's nothing you can do about a mosquito bite. It just itches, dude. And itching is just it's the worst. It's I would rather I would rather break every bone in my body than have itchiness going on. I just hate it so much. It's the worst because your body just tricks you. It just tricks you. And it's like if you scratch this, it will feel better. And then you scratch it and it feels better for a little bit. And then it just comes right back, dude. And I've tried a lot of anti-itching things because of how much hate itching, right? I've tried like they have like a Benadryl spray that you can put on and that one works pretty well. I've tried like the calamine lotion and stuff like that. But let me tell you like the ultimate life hack for itchiness. Let me see if I can find this real quick. It's pain relieving cream. I don't know what the active ingredient in pain relieving cream is, but it's the ultimate uh antidote to itchiness. And I think, yeah, like Bengay and stuff like that, because just something about it, it like cools you off. I think that's the thing. I think menthol maybe is one of the ingredients in there. You rub that on your itchiness, dude, and it kind of hurts a little bit, right? Because it's like it's cold and it's hot at the same time, so it feels a little uncomfortable, but it's a better feeling than itchiness, dude. It like overpowers the itchiness of it, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with like the cool burn of like menthol or whatever. What is it? What's the active ingredient in pain relieving cream? That's like the feeling you get. Lidocaine? Is that what it is? I have no idea what it's called, but whatever it is, that's the ultimate life hack for itchiness. Dude, don't be going out here buying calamine. Sometimes that stuff works but not always, not always. So it's like Bengay and stuff like that. That's the thing you want to get. Let me look for active ingredients. Sorry. Yeah, the three ingredients in it are camphor, menthol, and methyl silkylate. And those are, yeah, I don't know what any of that. I know what menthol is. It comes from like the eucalyptus tree or whatever, eucalyptus dick. Um, that's like the ultimate. That's the ultimate anti-itching antidote, dude, because it just overpowers the itchiness of it. Even if it doesn't like feel the best, and it doesn't feel that bad. Like at first, a little bit, you're like, what's that? That's like a weird feeling. But then afterwards, you're like, I'm just fine. As long as I'm not itching, as long as I have no itchiness, dude, I'll take anything. I'll take anything over itchiness. That's the only thing. A lot of people got addicted to Oxycontin because they had like back injuries or whatever. That's, I can deal with a back injury. I cannot deal with fucking itchiness though. So that would be the thing. That would be the thing that would get me addicted to Oxycontin. You know what I mean? If they were like, this can get rid of your itchiness, I'd be on the street in a week doing fentanyl. You know? And that's just the truth. I hate itchiness. I hate it so much. And you just scratch it, right? And chigger bites are the worst. I've talked about this before, and I've talked about how much I hate chiggers. And they're that you just like itch it until you're like borderline bleeding. And then you stop itching and it itches just as much, dude. I hate it so goddamn much. I hate itchiness. It's the ultimate evil. There's not a more, pain. I feel like pain can be construed into a good thing, right? Just, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Like pain can make you stronger, a stronger person physically. But like itchiness is like a pure mental battle. You know what I mean? Like the urge, resisting the urge to like itch your bug bites or whatever, your poison ivy. And thank God I don't get poison ivy. That's like the one human superpower that I have. Sorry, burp. I just don't get poison ivy. I don't get it at all. I can like walk through like a whole bushel of it, and plants. And I think that's because my body, like, it knows it's a plant and it's like, I'm not gonna let a plant hurt me. Like stinging nettles too. I once fell into like an entire patch of stinging nettles. I was I was in the Boy Scouts and we were on a camping trip in Nebraska, I think. And I was walking across this log near our campsite and I like the log didn't break or anything. It might have broken, I can't remember, but I like lost my balance and I like fell. I think that's what happened. I don't think it broke. And I like fell and I did like a full-on backflip, dude, into a thing of stinging nettles. And like, yeah, dude, it hurt, but like my body was like, this is a plant, dude. I can't let a plant be hurting you. Um, but yeah, got stinging nettles that one time, but my body just knows. It's like, dude, this is a plant. Yeah, like an insect or whatever. I can understand like that hurting you, but like my body's not gonna let a plant hurt me. It knows. My body's an alpha male like that. It's not gonna let a little weak beta male plant try to hurt me. But yeah, it's the one superpower I have. I'm just completely resistant to poison ivy. I don't get it at all, and thank God I don't, dude. Thank the good and holy Lord. That's the one superpower I've been given. I don't have, the most powerful stomach. I like spicy food. I can eat spicy food, but it tends to give me diarrhea. I'm Native American partly, so I have an incredibly weak liver, and I do get sunburnt. I get sunburnt pretty easily. I'm very pale, but just something about poison ivy. I don't get it. Don't get it at all, dude. you know? And it's just when you don't get poison ivy like that, you don't understand it. I don't think I fully understand poison ivy. Like some people be like, dude, I got a little bit of poison ivy on my leg, and it's just like their leg is doubled in size. Like their leg, it looks like they had like a fucking like the most severe infection you've ever seen. It looks like they have like those diabetes feet, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up diabetes feet. Like the blood pools in your legs or whatever, and your legs and your feet get like double the size. That's why they have to like cut off people's feet when they get like severe diabetes and like I don't know, don't take their insulin or whatever. I don't know how that works. But like that's what some people look like when they get poison ivy and I it doesn't affect me at all. I don't get like a lick of itchiness from it. And so whenever someone complains to me about poison ivy, I'm kind of like I dismiss it a little bit because I've never had that experience before, dude. Kind of like how bad can it be, dude? Like I imagine it's probably my equivalent of when I get sugar bites, is when people get poison ivy. You know what I mean? Where just it itches so much and it's like inflamed and it's all red and stuff. God, those poor people, you poor people. But it is kind of your fault. You know what I mean? If you're weak enough that a plant is the thing that's fucking you up, it's kind of your fault, dude. I hate to break it to you. A guy like me, I'd never let a plant do me like that, Like cyanide, I don't think cyanide would kill me just because it comes from a plant. I don't think my body would allow that, dude. My body's only gonna let me die from something in nature if it's like a deer just sticking its antlers straight into my guts and like ripping out my intestines and stuff like that. But my body's not gonna let a plant kill me. I know it won't, dude. I got trust in it. All right. It's not gonna let a plant fucking kill me. Just complete nonsense. A little bit of complete nonsense to start off this episode. I'm gonna try to get to an hour. I've been doing like hour and a half ones recently, and they're not they're tough, dude. It's tough to get through like an hour and a half, but sometimes you just gotta talk. And I don't really have a whole lot to talk about today, dude. I'm pretty brain dead, but I figured I need to get 3 episodes in a week for the entire summer. You know what I mean? That's what I've been doing so far this summer. I think I did miss a week. I think I only got 2 episodes in a week, but because the school year is coming up and I'm only going to be able to get in probably 2 episodes a week because I'm going to be living in a room with someone else and I'm not going to be recording a podcast in front of a stranger. So, I'm just gonna be going to my friend's house and recording the podcast there, and they're probably only gonna be like an hour, hour 15 each, if that. But hey, man, it is what it is. Nothing you can do about it, nothing I can do about it. Except maybe drive more, but I'm not gonna do that, dude. Not in my truck. I'm not gonna be driving my truck every single day, dude, or even twice a week. I feel like we're getting into the danger zone a little bit when it comes to my car, all right? I feel like twice a week. I'm feeling a little bit iffy about that. I'm like, will it start? Will it completely give out on me and I'm just careening down a hill with no control over it, you know? Like that's what I feel like every time I get in my truck, which I probably shouldn't, dude. I've seen people drive way shittier cars than mine, but still, I don't know. I don't have like that dog in me when it comes to driving. Like I know some people do. Some people have that dog in them where they can just like scroll on their phone while they drive with like one of their knees, you know what I mean? Just steering with one of their knees. I can't do that, dude. I don't have that dog in me when it comes to driving. So only gonna be having 2 episodes a week, and I'm gonna be recording them back to back. So get ready for some pure dog shit, dude. If you thought this was dog shit, get ready for some real dog shit. But hey, man, we ball, we ball. All right, and yeah, I don't know. I guess we're just gonna get into the ranking now. I don't know if I can talk about various body parts for 34 minutes, but we're gonna give it a try. So this is the body part power rankings. I have 10 different body parts here. I'm gonna run through them real quick. We have a clear number one, I think, going into this. I think just overall, we got a number one option. This is the Cooper flag of this ranking. This is the, you know what I mean, the LeBron James, the Zion Williamson, whatever it is. We got the number one. You know what I mean? This is Trevor Lawrence. This is Joe Burrow. It's nothing's beating this one, and I have it first on the list. So number one on the list, and I think number one on the rankings just automatically, we got boobs. All right, I think we all saw that one coming, and I'll run through the rest of the list real quick, and then I'll give you the reasons why boobs is number one. But I think the general consensus is I don't think anyone's going to be mad at that, right? I don't think anyone's going to be mad at boobs going number one overall. So we got boobs, hands, arms, mouth, balls, feet, legs, eyes, nose, and ears. And I had to include balls on the list. You know what I mean? If I'm going to be including boobs on the list, we got to put balls on the list, dude. If I got the bobs, and I didn't put vagine or peen on the list, dude, but we do got the bobs and the balls on there. All right? Bobs and vagine. But I mean, boobs, it's number one. It's a clear number one. They're the best. They're the best. I don't think anyone's ever gonna get offended by a pair of boobs, right? Like I feel like even like a gay dude or like a straight chick looks at a pair of tits and they're like, I don't think they're mad at it, right? Whereas like if you showed me like a penis and balls, I'd be like, what the fuck are we doing here, dude? Like if I saw dick and balls, I'd be the rest of my day, I wouldn't say the rest of my day's ruined. I don't think I'd be like particularly mad about it, but I'd be like, come on, the fuck are we doing here, dude? You're showing me a pair of balls. I'm not happy when I see that. It doesn't make my day any better, but I see a pair of boobs and it does make my day better. You know what I mean? It does make my day better to see the two fucking water balloons, the two big squishies. It makes me it makes me happy, dude. And at one point in our lives, it made all of us happy. You know what I mean? Even if you were like bottle fed as a baby, you still had like that instinct. You still had that instinct to like suck on the boobies. You know, you still had that drive, that motivation to like really get in there and suckle. So, jeez. But it's true, all right? These things, they give life. It's the most vulnerable people on this planet are babies, dude. And the one thing that they like their entire life revolves around is the titty, dude. So the titty, like, it heals the weak, if you think about it. It gives power to the weak, and the weak are, in this situation, are babies. So, I mean, yeah, and they're great to look at. I don't think anyone's offended. I don't think, even if you see a bad pair, it might ruin your day a little bit just because you have so many good pairs in your mind that you see a bad pair and you're just like, oh my God, dude, what do you have to do to get a bad pair of tits? You know what I mean? I'm not talking about small. I have no problem with small tits. I know some people do. I don't give a shit. I don't have a problem with that. I'm straight as hell. I love titties of all sizes, but you guys know what I mean. When you see a real bad pair and you're just like, I mean, what's going on here, dude? It kind of gets you upset a little bit, but I mean, other than that, I think I'm happy every time I see them. And like I said, I don't think anyone's day is ruined when they see a pair, unless it's a real bad pair, dude. Unless there's just like a tweaker walking down the side of the highway that's just completely naked, um, that would probably ruin your day. But I think it's just, and I don't think it's particularly the tits. I don't think seeing tweaker tits helps. You know what I mean? I don't think that makes it any better, but I just think seeing a tweaker naked probably ruins your day a fair bit. So, but yeah, I'm never mad. You'll never catch me mad about seeing a pair. And so I think for that reason we're putting it at number one. And I don't think anyone gets mad. You know, I don't think anyone's out here like protesting tits. I mean, you can't be walking around with the things in public just because we got kids and shit. But, but you know, I like them. They rule. Everyone likes them. They're a nice. They're just nice to look at. You know what I mean? They're bouncy. They're squishy, and it's not like, and even like old ones with like the stretch marks and they're kind of saggy a little bit. It's still like that's just what old tits look like, and I'm not mad about that. You know? And they never get like ugly. They never get like really, you know, occasionally you'll have like a freak anomaly where one of them gets ugly or one pair gets ugly, but for the most part, they stay pretty decent looking, right? Like hands. You can see a real ugly pair of hands every now and then, but an ugly pair of tits, like that's a complete anomaly. So I think for that reason, boobs are number one, dude. They give nourishment. They're cool to look at if you're like attracted to chicks. And if you're not attracted to chicks, I don't think you get mad about it, is what I'm saying, you know? I don't think you go home just fuming. But if I saw a dick and balls, dude, I'd be so mad. I'd be like, if I was out in public and some chick was walking around with her tits out, I'd be like, all right, calm the fuck down. You know, that would be my feeling. I'd be like, all right, I'm I'm glad to see him, you know what I mean? But put him away. Now is not the time. You know, that would be my reaction. That would be my feeling. That would be my emotional response if I saw a pair of tits. But if I saw a pair of dick and balls walking around, you know, just on the side of the street going to Dollar General or whatever, I would get physically aggressive, right? Like if I was driving and I saw like a dude walking around, you know, Porky Pig in it. He's got the shirt on, but the dick and balls out. I would hit that guy with my car. I would go in for the fucking kill. That's what I'm saying. I would go full GTA 5. I'd get up on the sidewalk and just douche, you know? That would be my reaction. If I was on foot, I would once again get physically aggressive. You know, I'd get on all fours and sprint at the dude and hit him with a Goldberg spear and be like, "What the fuck? What are you doing?" You know, that would be my reaction if I saw it. If I saw the twig and berries when I was walking around. But if I saw a pair of tits, I'd just be like, all right, you know what? I'd probably say so. I'd probably be like, hey, now's not the time. Go put on a wife beater or something like that and get those things out of here. You know what I mean? That would be my reaction if I saw a pair of tits. But like I said, if I see a pair of cock and balls out in public, someone's getting hurt, right? Someone, someone's getting hurt. Maybe not the guy himself. Maybe I'm the one getting hurt because if you're walking around with your dick and balls out, you're probably a pretty confident dude, and so you could probably beat my ass. But you know, someone's getting hurt. I'm attacking someone physically. Even if it's just a person that's like near me, I'm still attacking that person physically. It's just what would happen. It's just it would make me angry. It would make me upset. It would it would ruin my day. That would ruin my day. If I just saw, you know, if I was in like a locker room or whatever, I just ooh, you know what I mean? I'd look one of those boys out. But then for the rest of the day, I'd be fine. But if I saw those things in public, yeah, I'd have to physically attack someone. I'd have to recreate a Mr. Beast thumbnail, dude. I'd have to put like a gun in the guy's face, you know? So, yeah. But I think boobs, it's a clear number one. I don't think anyone's upset about that. And the reason I didn't put butt on here is because we got to delineate between dude butt and chick butt, and it's just I don't know. I just didn't feel like having that debate there, you know, because I'm trying to be objective as possible here. I'm trying not to let my uh personal feelings influence the ranking, and I feel like if were comparing dude butt to chick butt, that would that would heavily influence my ranking. You know what I mean? Just something about it, dude. A square hairy dude butt versus like a nice round chick butt. Yeah. That would influence the ranking, I'd say, a fair bit, and I don't want that to happen, dude. I don't want my integrity to be on the line. So that's why we're not comparing dude butt versus chick butt because they are different, dude. Like any dude that's ever done squats before, you can do 1,000 squats and you're never gonna get a chick butt, dude. Just something about a chick butt, maybe it's like the hips or something like that. But but You're never gonna get a chick, but I don't care how many squats you do, unless you're James Charles for some reason. unless unless your name is James Charles, and you're not gonna get a chick butt if you're a dude. But somehow James Charles has like the most perfect round fat ass you've ever seen, and it's an insanely good ass. I don't know how James Charles did it. Maybe he has implants or something like that, but. And people will be like, "Oh, that's gay, dude." James Charles has a chick ass. I don't care what anyone says to me. You're not going to convince me otherwise, dude. James Charles has a chick butt on him, and I'm not going to apologize for saying that. I've seen it before. I've been tricked by the pictures before, but he has a chick ass. I don't know. Like I said, maybe it's implants. Maybe he figured out the secret, dude. Maybe James Charles did unlock the secret. But yeah, James Charles has a chick ass. Um, and he's like the only dude. I don't know. I haven't reviewed a lot of dude asses, especially gay dude asses. I haven't done a deep dive on those things, but from my limited research, James Charles is the only dude I've ever seen who just has an absolute bubble butt on him, dude. He's got that shit moves when he walks, is what I'm saying. And I've never seen another dude ass like that before, but I have seen it on James Charles. So if you're a dude out there and you're like, is thinking that James Charles has a good ass, is that gay or not? No, dude, it's not gay because he has an anomaly of a dude ass, Not every dude ass looks like that. Like I've squatted 450, or not 450, let's be up 420 pounds. I've squatted 420 pounds before, and I still had like a completely or flat ass. I still had precisely zero ass. So I just think dude ass and chick ass they're just two fundamentally different things that I didn't want to have to compare. Because my internal bias would come into play and I'd be like, I put chick ass over dude ass when I don't know. I don't know if chick ass is better than dude ass. It's maybe a bisexual person is the correct person to like rank dude ass versus chick ass, but I'm not that, so I can't be doing it. But yeah, sorry. Sorry for all the people out there that thought butt was gonna be part of this. It's not, dude. I just can't do butt. Just something about it. I just know my biases would take over, and I'd end up putting chick ass over dude ass when I don't really know. I don't really know from an objective point of view if you know chick ass is better than dude ass. I imagine it is. I imagine most people would agree on that, but like I said, I don't really know. I've never experienced that life before. That perspective. It's never been my lived experience. So for that reason, but it's not going to be a part of this one. All right. I know. I think for number two, we have to. This is a tough one right now. Number two, in my opinion, is between hands and eyes. And the reason that why that's the case is hands. They're just such a useful thing. You know what I mean? Try to go a day without using your hands. You could probably go a day without using your eyes before you go a day without using your hands. But the thing that eyes have over hands is they let you see, but also the other thing about eyes is that they're like the gateway to the soul. Like, right? Like a lot of human emotion is in the eyes. That's why you make eye contact when you talk to a person. That's what most people do. I don't do that. I just kind of like look around the room. I'm not the best at making eye contact. Um, but I should be better about it, right? Because eyes hold a lot of human emotion and shit like that. So I feel like for that reason, eyes and hands are kind of on the same tier to me. And this is where things get a little bit difficult because this isn't a tier list, dude. Tier lists are for socialists, all right? If you prefer tier lists over rankings, you're a socialist. All right? There's no equality here. There's no equity. There's no redistribution of wealth. This is number one is number one, and then the slaves are at the fucking bottom. All right? So it is a ranking, and so I have to decide between hands and eyes, dude. And this is a difficult one. This is a difficult one because it's like hands. I mean, they're just so useful. Like that's the thing that hands have over eyes. It's almost like an emotion versus logic type of argument. You know what I mean? Like hands are logic, but eyes are emotion. Like you look into a person's eyes and you can like really get a feel about them. And also, like I've said before, I'm a big eye guy. Like when a chick has sexy eyes, I'm like, That to me can almost be more important than the body in a lot of ways. So, but I'm not gonna let my personal feelings about it get in the way. But I feel like a lot of people like are also eye people, right? Even if it's just getting an emotional understanding of the person, I feel like a lot of people are really into eyes, but hands are the thing that built the the world that we live in. You know, it wouldn't be able to be built without hands. But the thing is, if you lose your hands, you can still get like a pair of hooks. You know what I mean? You could still turn into Blackbeard a little bit and get a pair of hooks on your hand or where your hand should be, you know, on your stumps. You can still get the hooks on there and be able to do a lot of things. And they also have like these new bionic type of things where you can like make a fist and stuff like that and like articulate the fingers and stuff. So, you know, in this day and age, if you lose your hands, I'm sure it sucks. I'm sure it's not great to have no hands, but it's not the end of the world. But if you lose your eyes, dude, there's no eye replacement surgery. You can get hand replacement surgery. There was like a big, this kid got like both of his hands replaced. He was like a black kid and then he got white hands, which is pretty funny. You could look that up real quick. Let me try to find this kid's name. But you can get your hands replaced. You can't get your eyes replaced. I mean, double hand replacement. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like a little black kid that got like adult white man hands. It's very, it's very funny, dude. Yeah, double hand transplant. Oh, they don't. Yeah, Zion is the kid's name. Uh, Zion Harvey. Let me see if I can get a picture of this kid. But I guess there's multiple people now that I'm looking at it. A lot of people got new hands, and they do look. They're not the greatest looking things I've ever seen in my entire life, but the people got hands. You know? Oh no, he did get black kid hands. I thought this dude got like adult white man hands. Zion Harvey did get white, what were black kid hands, which I guess is good for him. It would probably suck. It'd probably suck if you were like dude, this kid's like 5, just to have like the hands of like a concrete worker, like a white concrete worker. But no, he got little black kid hands, which I mean, good for him, but bad for the kid that lost his hands. Right? Like that's the thing is everyone like, oh, it's so inspiring. This kid got like a double lung transplant. And it's like, yeah, but like a kid had to die for that to happen. It's just like one life was exchanged for another one. So it's like how happy and inspiring is that? But you know, I'm not against it, but it is a little bit like people are just like, oh, this is just such good news. And it's like, you know, for that kid to get his heart transplant, another kid had to die. Right? But I mean, hey, good for Zion Harvey. He got a couple of hands. Another kid did die for it, but hey, is what it is. And so yeah, I think the ranking has become clear. You know, eyes are going over hands. I think we'll put hands at number 3. Like I said, they're just so useful. You know, try to like I said, you can go a whole day without using your eyes. A lot of people do, but without using your hands, that's a far more tall task. You know, like if I saw a dude with no, I'd be more freaked out by seeing a dude with no hands than a dude with no eyes, right? Or a dude that's blind. If I saw a dude with no eyes, that would terrify me to my core. I think I think that would freak me out so much. But if I saw like a blind dude versus a dude with no hands, I think a blind dude would freak me out less. But a dude with no eyes versus a dude with no hands, a dude with no eyes would freak me out way more. Just something about it, I'd be like, God damn. It's just something about it's freaky, dude. They almost have like a mythical look to them, right? Like imagine a dude without eyes. They almost like that's like an oracle or something like that. Like if you didn't have any eyes in like the ancient Greek times or whatever, you would be an oracle. You would be like a priest or a priestess of some kind. You know what I mean? You'd be like a priestess to Apollo or something like that if you had no eyes in the ancient Greek times or the ancient Roman times or the, you know, whatever, any pagan time, if you had no eyes, you would be some kind of a priest. And I think that's why it would freak me out. If I saw a dude with no eyes, I'd be like, this is just, do you have like a connection to God or something like that? Because how do you function? How are you going about your life with no eyes? And also, I don't know, like not being able to see anything ever again versus not being able to grab anything ever again. Like that's like the truly logical debate between the two things, right? And I don't know. That would be tough, dude. Because I don't get any pleasure out of grabbing things, right? Even when I'm jerking off. It doesn't give me pleasure to like grab my dick. But And I'm sure squeezing boobs and butt, I'm sure that gives you a fair bit of pleasure. But seeing things, I don't know. I feel like seeing things gives me more pleasure than grabbing things. But that's just one part of the, would you rather never be able to grab or never be able to see again? Because if you're never able to grab anything, you're not able to write with like a pencil or whatever. Even typing would be pretty tough. But I am one of those people, like I type one letter at a time. I'm kind of getting better about it. Um, but for the most part, yeah, I'm a one letter at a time type of guy. I'm a clicker like that. I'm not a typer, I'm a clicker. Um, so yeah, I think I could operate better with no hands than no eyes, is what I'm trying to say. Like you could drive with no hands. I could do a pretty good job at driving. I don't even use my hands that much when I drive. I'm one of those people, I rest my hand on top of the steering wheel for the most part. Unless I'm going real fast, then I'll go, one or two hands on, but for the most part, I'm gonna rest my wrist on top of the steering wheel and just kind of use that to turn and stuff. And so I think I could drive with no hands. I think I could type with no hands. I'd still have to have a hook or something like that, but I think I could do it. But I wouldn't be able to do a whole lot without my eyes. I know a lot of people are. I know there's probably more blind people than there is people with no hands in the world, but still, I think no hands is probably easier to deal with than no eyes. But like I said, I don't know. It's difficult, right? Depends on what you do for work and stuff like that. Whereas if you have no eyes, you're very limited in the type of work you can do. You really can't do that much work. You can't really do that much shit if you don't have eyes. If you don't have eyes, you're pretty much forced to move to like a city where you can walk everywhere and stuff like that. Where if you don't have hands, you can still whip that thing, dude. You can be a semi truck driver with no hands. I'm sure there is. Anyone that's ever seen a semi truck driver before, those guys are fucking freaks. So I'm sure there is semi truck drivers out there with just no fingies on them like that. And so yeah, I think that's a good number two and three. I think eyes at number two and hands at number three. I think that's a fairly good list. And now we have arms, mouth, balls, feet, legs, nose, and ears. We kind of got to battle the senses here, in terms of mouth, nose, and ears. But but would you what do you think about walking? Are you a big fan of walking? I think it is mostly Americans that listen to this, if not exclusively Americans. So I'd venture to say you're not the biggest fans of walking. You know what I mean? You're not Christopher, but I think, but I don't know who to give credit to when it comes to walking, legs or feet. I think we have to give a little bit more credit to legs because there's dudes out there walking that ain't got no feet. You know what I mean? Like veterans, like I said, diabetics and stuff like that. Like there's people that don't have any feet that can hike and stuff like that. They're not just getting around, rolling around in a wheelchair or whatever. They're walking for real, like I said, full Christopher. And so, but, and that just determines that legs are going over feet. I know the feet guys out there, they're going to be mad. They're going to be like, I can't suck on any more white painted toes. Like that would probably ruin your time if you were a big feet guy, not being able to suck toes anymore. But I feel like there's more leg guy than there is feet guys out there. I've never been a big leg guy before. Like I said, I like butt. And hey, the butt debate is back because butts are kind of part of the legs if you think about it. If you don't have a butt, you can't be doing other stuff with your legs. And so butts are back on the table. Butts are back on the table, dude, because they are part of the legs. And so yeah, I think no matter who goes next, I think legs go over feet, just because feet, you don't need them as much as you need legs. Feet are fun. It's nice to have feet, but you can operate with no feet, but you can't be operating out here with no legs, dude. That's what we call a nugget. All right. That's what we call a McNugget, dude. You're the boot-shaped McNugget. You ain't got no legs on you. And so, yeah, I think that settles the debate between legs and feet, but it doesn't settle the debate of who's going to go number four. I'm not the biggest hearing guy. I know a lot of people are, that's kind of the nature of what I do is talking and hearing and listening and stuff like that. So I think mouth goes number four. I think we figured it out, because talking is such an important part of the human experience. The mouth is really like the nexus point of a lot of human experiences, if you think about it, right? You got taste, drinking, eating, uh, That all kind of goes with taste, but still, you guys know what I mean. It's because taste is just like pleasure, right? Like the food tasting good, that's just kind of like a pleasurable feeling, whereas eating and drinking is like a necessary human process, right? And also talking is a necessary human process, right? Even people that can't talk with their mouths talk with their hands. Talking is very, very important. You know, controversial opinion there, but I think talking is important. Like everyone talks, dude. Like that's like a cultural universal thing, is that everyone has some sort of verbal language. So I think for that reason, just like the influence, the mouth has had the most influence of I think of any body part, if you think about it, right? Because, you know, Hitler was Hitler because he was able to talk so good, I think, in my personal opinion. Some people listen to him, not a big fan of hearing him talk, but I mean, how do you get that many people to do what you want? You talk good, you know? And then tasting food. Why do you think Americans are so fat? Because food tastes good, man. I just think the mouth is just has so many uses, right? A lot of these other body parts don't have a ton of uses. Like eyes, I did no, all of these have multi-use, but I feel like the mouth has like a ton of uses. Kissing, stuff like that, sucking a dick, eating pussy, dude, eat ass. I mean, the mouth has a lot of purposes. It's got a ton of purposes in there. And to be fair, that is because it's compromised or composed of different parts. Sorry, I had to figure out a word there for a second. Hey, that was my mouth working there, all right? And my brain working in tandem. And the mouth, you got your tongue, your lips, your teeth. And so it's just got all those different parts in there. And that's why it has so many uses. But hey, all those are great uses, talking, eating, drinking, kissing, all that stuff, dude. You do it all with your mouth. So I feel like for that reason, mouth goes number four. And I think that's a good place for it, dude. You know, and you can live without your mouth. Like there are people, you can look it up on the internet. There are people that like don't have mouths. Like they're missing their lower jaw. And I guess they eat exclusively through like feeding tubes in their necks and they breathe through their necks and stuff like that. So you don't necessarily need your mouth, but I mean, it's just a great thing to have. It's just great. It's great to have your mouth. And so I feel like for that reason, it's going at number four. It's just got so many good things about it, dude. Talking, eating, drinking, that's kind of it. But still, breathing. A lot of people breathe through their mouths, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but breathing is up there. And so I feel like for that reason, the mouth is going at number four. It's got so many purposes, and all those purposes, yeah, you don't necessarily need your mouth to continue to live, but what are you gonna do without it, man? Your life isn't gonna be as good as if you don't have your mouth. And that's true of all of these, but I feel like it's especially true of the mouth. You're missing out on a lot of great things if you don't have your mouth. If you don't have your mouth, you can't talk, you can't eat, you can't drink. And like I said, you can still have like a feeding tube or whatever, but you don't get like the experience of eating. So I feel like for that reason, mouth is going at number four. There's so many great things about it. You can do so many different things. It rules. All right. What we got left is arms, balls, feet, legs, nose, and ears. And I feel like I can't neglect balls. I feel like I've been doing it thus far to try to not sound gay or whatever, but we have to be objective here. And balls give life. You know what I mean? There are two things you need. You need the balls. You don't even need a dick necessarily, I don't think. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't really know. I don't really know how it works, but I'm sure you can like put a syringe in there and just suck the baby juice out. Suck the jizz out. Let's just call it jizz. You can suck the jizz out and put it up in the pussy. So I don't even think you need a dick. Um, but they're essential for life. But we got to talk about the downsides here a little bit. It makes sitting weird. That's a downside to having balls, especially big balls, is it makes sitting weird. Like I have to man spread. There's no way I can't sit without man spreading. They hurt. I mean, you can tap those things and you're in pain. You're doubled over on the ground, just you know, just flexing every single muscle in your body, just screaming if you get tapped in the balls. For some reason, I don't know why. I don't like you can you can like You could do a spinning roundhouse kick to a vagina and the chick wouldn't even notice it. But if you like tap your balls or like sit down weird, not even sit on your balls, but just sit down weird, you're like you can't function for like a half an hour after that. Um, and so yeah, I don't think balls are going at number five. But we got nose and ears. I think I can live without nose and ears. I don't think I can live without legs though. We had the legs versus feet debate and legs ended up on top. And I think that's where legs are going. I think legs are going at number five. And I mean, I feel like we're neglecting arms a little bit, but I don't know. Like I'm a big fan of forearms, but like biceps and stuff like that, triceps, they're important for work, right? Like if you have like a physical job, you need your arms and stuff like that. But I don't know. And like I don't neglect arms when I work out. Like I have decent sized arms and stuff like that, but just I don't think they're as important as legs or eyes or hands. Like there's nothing I can't put arms over anything on here. I know some people might be a little bit pissed about that. I know there's a lot of big arm fans out there. I'm just I'm just trying to be objective as possible here and I'm like I said, work out a lot. And maybe if you're a chick it's a little bit different because I feel like chicks like biceps or do they? I don't fucking know. I know they don't like triceps. I know for a fact that women don't like triceps, dude, because if women like triceps like they like biceps, dude, I will be swimming in it. I have I don't have small biceps, but like my triceps are twice the size as my biceps, dude. I have huge triceps. But I know women are a big fan of triceps for some reason, even though that's the work muscle, dude. That's the money muscle. You know, if you're trying to make money, you need triceps. You can't be making money without triceps, and that's a fact. All right. Um, but I do think arms is next up on the list. I think, I like I said, I was neglecting arms there for a little bit, but I feel like they go at number six. You know, they're the legs of the hands. Jesus, that was a retarded thing. But it's true, dude. Arms are the legs of the hands. You know, hands are definitely more important than arms, but you can't be forgetting about your arms, all right? They're very important. You need them. You need them. You don't need them, but, and there are people out there without arms, but there's people out there without all of these body parts, and that doesn't make them any less important, right? Like boobs. 50% of the population does not have boobs, but like they're still number one, and they're number one for a good goddamn reason. All right. And what we have left is balls, feet, nose, and ears. And I just talked a lot of shit about balls. I just shit on balls a lot. Just shit all over balls for a few minutes. But they're just so important to creating life. Like you can be a nugget, like I was talking about, you know what I mean? No legs, no arms, just rolling through life literally. Just rolling everywhere you go, like a big spicy meatball. Uh, you can be doing that. And as long as you have a pair of balls, you can make a human life. And so I feel like it's such an essential part of existence on Earth. You know, without them, we wouldn't exist. Without hands, we would be able to exist. But like I said, hands are very useful. You use them for a whole lot of things, and that's what useful means. So, just repeated what I said. But hands are very useful. And like I said, I don't get offended when I see a pair of hands. Like even if I see a bad pair of hands, I'm still like, eh, doesn't make me mad or whatever. But if I see a pair of balls, regardless of if they're good or not, I'm not gay and I'm not a straight woman, so I don't really know what a good pair of balls is versus a bad pair of balls. But if I just see a pair of balls, I'm getting a little bit pissed. I'm getting a little bit like, hey, 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 you know, I'm hitting a harsh hey. I'm going full on into the harsh hey if I see a pair of balls. So, and I feel like most people are that way. Even people that are a big fan of them, straight chicks. And I don't even know if straight chicks are a big fan of them. And I don't even know if gay dudes are a big fan of balls, but they are very important, an essential aspect of human life. And so for that reason, they're getting put at number seven. But they just don't have like the aesthetic appeal of boobs. And that's kind of what a lot of these episodes are about, these ranking episodes. It's aesthetics over function, it's form over function. I care way more about the aesthetics of something. You know what I mean? You look at the top two here. Boobs is number one and eyes are number two. Those are two very aesthetically appeasing things. Um, and yeah, that's what these episodes are all about. So we just got to be honest with ourselves here for a second. And boobs just have better PR for one. Uh, but that they look better. I think objectively, I think that's an objective statement of fact, is that boobs look better than balls. I don't know. Maybe there's like a straight ass chick out there listening to this that's like pissed as hell, just like shut the fuck up, dude. I love balls and I hate tits. There's just like there's like an Andrew Tate woman out there just being like, dude, it's gay as hell if you like boobs over balls. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't really know. Never picked one of their minds before, but I do think there are more boob fans than there is ball fans out there, is what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. All right. I think more people like boobs than balls. And that's what this is all about. And so what we have left is feet, nose, ears. I think I'll put ears at number 8 just because listening to stuff rules. I'm a big podcast guy. I'm a big music guy. I like listening to stuff. Even when you're out in nature, like I go fishing a whole lot and just listening to like the birds and like the water lap and the wind and all that stuff. I like listening to stuff. They don't, there's tons of people out there that don't have full use of their ears. Like basically every old person doesn't have ears. So like every person over the age of 70 does not have ears. And so they don't have like the same essential purpose as like balls do, right? Or hands or whatever. But they're very important, but they are more of a pleasure thing. You know what I mean? They're more you don't need a pair of ears to function. They're nice. It's very nice to have ears, but you don't need them. And it's yeah, it is kind of just pure pleasure. You know what I mean? Just listening to people talk, listening to podcasts, listening to the water and the birds and all that stuff. It's just purely pleasure. It does have its function, but it's not essential. And also you can get like hearing aids and stuff like that. You don't need the ears. We got sign language. Every movie has subtitles nowadays. Every TV show has subtitles. You don't need the ears like you used to need the ears, man. And so I feel like for that reason, we put them at number 8. Uh, and then we have nose and feet. I think we'll put feet at number 9 and then nose at number 10. And I think the reason nose goes at number 10 is just it's smelling stuff that smells bad really is awful. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just sensitive, but like when I smell something that smells bad, like it makes me angry. I get very, very upset when I smell something that smells bad. So I feel like for that reason, we're putting nose last. And it's just like people say smell is 90% of taste. I don't know if I believe that. Like even when I had COVID and I didn't really have a sense of smell, I still enjoyed eating and I still ate a fuck ton. So I don't know how true that is. I don't know how true it is that smell is 90% of taste, but whatever. He don't need your nose, dude. Voldemort didn't have his nose, and he almost took over all the fucking Magic Kingdoms or whatever those movies are about. So let's go over the rankings. So number 1, we have boobs. Number 2, we have eyes. Number 3, hands. Number 4, mouth. Number 5, legs. Number 6, arms. Number 7, balls. Number 8, ears. Number 9, feet. Number 10, nose. And that is the official body part ranking, dude. We're not doing tier lists over here. Like I said, tier lists are for communists. All right. We do rankings because we're hardworking goddamn capitalists. All right. And that's all I've got for this episode, guys. And I'll see you guys on Monday. Peace.